In the heart of the rugged frontier, where the sun kissed the land with shades of amber and gold, the Apache council gathered beneath the ancient oak. The air was thick with tension, the whispers of warriors weaving tales of recent skirmishes and losses. This particular meeting, however, was charged with an electricity that hinted at a revelation waiting to unfold. Among the seated warriors was Kiyoshi, a man of honor, his face etched with the lines of grief and determination. Once a proud protector of his tribe, he had felt the weight of loss ever since that fateful day, when remnants of their village were strewn across the scorched earth, the cries of the innocent haunting him in his dreams. Today, breast-stroked memories of his past would clash with the stark realities standing before him. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the ground, a messenger rushed into the clearing. His breath came in quick gasps, and his eyes darted anxiously as if he feared the weight of his message. The council's murmurs faded as he raised his voice. "A wounded stranger has been found just beyond the ridge. She bears the markings of our people." Kiyoshi's heart stopped. The markings of his people. He had been searching for survivors ever since the massacre, for he believed that somewhere in the chaos, his daughter, Akela, had escaped. The thought flickered in his mind, a candle fighting against the wind. Could it truly be her? The council debated feverishly, arguing about the risk of aiding a stranger. Some whispered about the danger of outsiders and the deceitful tricks they might employ. Others, emboldened by Kiyoshi's silent resolve, argued for compassion, echoing the teachings of their ancestors. "This could be the blood of our blood," one elder said, causing the murmurs to quiet. Kiyoshi rose, his voice steady. "We cannot turn our backs on one who might be kin. If there is a chance that it is Akela, we must act. To save her is to honor our fallen. To deny her is to embrace the darkness of our past." With those words, the council nodded, their resolve reignited by Kiyoshi's spirit. They set off together, stealthily moving toward the ridge where the stranger lay. A dark anticipation filled the air, punctuated only by the sound of footsteps muffled against the earth. Each warrior's heart drummed a rhythm of hope and dread. As they neared the clearing, Kiyoshi's breath caught in his throat. There, crumpled amidst the brittle grass, lay a figure cloaked in dust and blood. The sight struck him like a blow. The wounded girl was unconscious, but even in her weakened state, he recognized the contours of her face that mirrored his own. "It is her," Kiyoshi whispered, desperation mingling with disbelief. "Akela." The warriors quickly surrounded her, their hands gentle yet firm as they lifted her from the ground. The journey back to the council's gathering place was a blur for Kiyoshi. All he could focus on was the soft rise and fall of Akela's chest, the once vibrant spirit so close to vanishing. As dusk fell, lanterns flickered to life, casting a soft glow on the gathering as they laid Akela down upon a bed woven from soft furs. The elder women of the tribe hurried to her side, tending to her wounds with a blend of skill and urgency. Kiyoshi knelt beside her, feeling hope battle with the fear that had gripped his heart for so long. Hours passed in anxious silence, the gathering enveloped in an uneasy peace. Finally Akela stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, revealing the familiar depth of spirit that had once filled his home with laughter. "Father?" she whispered, her voice barely a thread. "Is it truly you?" Kiyoshi's heart soared, a flood of emotion spilling over as he grasped her hand tightly. "I am here, my daughter. We feared we had lost you forever." Tears streamed down her dirt-streaked face. "I thought I was alone. I ran. They came for us." Her voice broke, recollections flooding back with a force that threatened to overwhelm. Kiyoshi wrapped his arms around her, anchoring her against the tide of her memories. The council members watched, mouths agape as father and daughter reunited amidst the cacophony of grief and joy. In the midst of this reunion, Kiyoshi spoke to the gathering of warriors, his voice resonating deeply within their hearts. "She is not just our kin. She is a survivor, an embodiment of our hope. Today we reclaim what was lost and forge a path forward together. We will strengthen our bond and bring honor to those we have lost." As whispers of agreement spread, solidarity washed over the group, igniting within them a renewed purpose. Together, they would rebuild, not just the physical structures of their village, but the very essence of their community, a village that recognized the intricacies of pain, resilience, and the power of kinship. In the days that followed, Akela shared her story. the harrowing escape from the chaos, the resilience of her spirit that kept her alive. Each word painted a picture that drew the community closer together. They gathered to listen, to learn, recognizing the strength that lay in vulnerability. Kiyoshi proudly watched as his daughter reclaimed her life amidst their people. Together, they reignited traditions long forgotten, weaving tales of resilience into their daily lives. The council meetings transformed, turning from mere discussions of survival to celebrations of strength. As the sun dipped beyond the horizon, Kiyoshi felt a profound sense of peace. His heart swelled with gratitude, knowing they had not just survived, they had thrived. In the face of adversity, a new chapter unfurled, rich with stories, songs, and the promise of a brighter future. The bonds of tribes strengthened that day, as they remembered that loss might shape you, but love, hope, and the courage to rise above define who you are. As Kiyoshi looked into Akela's eyes, he knew she was not just a survivor. She was the future of their people, a beacon of light amidst the shadows of their past. As the days turned into weeks, the Apache village thrived under the guiding hand of Kiyoshi and Akela. The reunion unfolded into a tapestry of new beginnings, weaving together the stories of those who had survived and those who were lost. Akela's strength served as a catalyst for healing, and the elders often gathered to discuss how to honor their fallen kin, while also cherishing the living. One evening, as the sun sang its last note across the horizon, casting a warm glow over their campfire, the warriors convened for a council meeting. Kiyoshi stood, the flickering flames illuminating his rugged features as he looked around at the faces of his brothers prepared to defend their way of life. Tonight we honor not just the memory of what we have lost, but also the resilience of our people, Kiyoshi began, his voice steady. Akela's return has reminded us of our duty to protect one another. It is not enough to simply survive. We must thrive, and that means standing together stronger than ever. Nods of agreement rippled through the assembled warriors, their spirits lifted by the strength of conviction in Kiyoshi's words. One of the younger men, Tall Bear, stood up, his youthful eyes bright with passion. What if we focused on strengthening our alliances with other tribes? We need to ensure the safety of our people by standing united. If they threaten one of us, they threaten all of us. The murmurs of approval echoed in the circle as Kiyoshi smiled at the initiative from the younger generation. Yes, let's reach out to the neighboring tribes and remind them of our shared history, our struggles and our victories. Together, we can form a coalition that stands against any who might seek to disrupt our way of life. As the night deepened, stories flew through the air like arrows, each tale infusing the warriors with courage and purpose. They spoke of past alliances, of battles won side by side, and of how unity had once brought them strength. And with every word, Kiyoshi felt the pulse of their heritage course through him, connecting him to a tradition of pride and resilience. Meanwhile, Akela's role in the village broadened. The women of the tribe began to flock to her for guidance, fascinated by the courage she had shown in her flight from danger. Striding confidently through the village, she shared her experiences, teaching the younger women the skills she had learned during her time alone, how to track, hunt, and defend themselves. With each session, Akela ignited a spark within them that had long been dimmed by fear. One sunny afternoon, as Akela guided a group of young girls through the woods, she glanced back over her shoulder, noticing their eager faces. "When I was lost, I remembered the lessons you taught me, the way you all supported each other. Remember, together we can accomplish anything. Alone, we may falter." The girls listened intently, their spirits lifted by her words. They were learning not just techniques for survival, but the importance of community and collaboration. Akela felt the weight of responsibility, but it filled her with purpose rather than fear. She had not only returned, she had also become the embodiment of hope and strength for the next generation. As months passed, news of their village's resurgence began to spread. Warriors from other tribes, intrigued by tales of resilience and unity, began to visit, seeking friendships that had been strained by past conflicts. Unsure yet hopeful, they approached the Apache camp, their curiosity piqued by whispers of a new alliance forming. One evening, a group of warriors from the neighboring Lakota tribe arrived, led by a tall man named Running Wolf. The council gathered to meet them, Kiyoshi at the forefront, his composure a pillar of strength. The atmosphere was thick with uncertainty, yet Kiyoshi extended a hand of friendship. "You honor us with your presence. Let us share stories and forge ties that bind." Running Wolf stepped forward, his eyes sharp and assessing. "We have heard of your courage and your daughter's return. In these troubled times, it is wise to stand together." A wave of agreement rippled through Kiyoshi's warriors, buoying their spirits. As the night deepened, both tribes exchanged knowledge and narratives, breaking down the walls built by fear and misunderstanding. Some shared stories of love, loss and hope, while others spoke of battles fought and lands claimed. Laughter mingled with solemn reflections, each story solidifying the foundation of a budding friendship. Akela, drawn to the camaraderie unfolding around her, took a step closer to the fire, knowing how crucial this moment was for their future. She could feel the weight of responsibility settle upon her shoulders as she began to see herself not just as a survivor but as a leader. Inspired, Akela proposed a joint hunt, combining the skills of both tribes. "Let us gather our strengths and hunt together. A united effort will bring in a larger bounty." Cheers erupted from the crowd as excitement filled the air. Plans were drawn, and the tribes began preparing for what would be a monumental day, a day where they would prove that unity was not merely a word, but an action that could change their fates. The day of the hunt arrived bright and clear, sun rays streaming through the trees, and the air filled with anticipation. Their spirits lifted, the warriors and hunters united, forging a sense of purpose. As they scattered through the forest, honor and tradition intertwined with adrenaline. The camaraderie of their shared mission lost the weight of division. As they hunted, harmony reigned. The laughter of the warriors echoed against the backdrop of nature, an anthem of resilience reverberating through the woods. Kiyoshi watched with pride as Akela led a group of young women, teaching them how to identify tracks and read the signs of nature. In moments like this, he felt hope blossom tender and strong. The hunt concluded with a successful catch, enough food to last them through the winter. As they returned to the village, the sun setting low, painting the skies with hues of red and gold, both tribes gathered in celebration. They sang songs, danced around the fire, and shared meals, feeling their hearts swell with a newfound connection. Kiyoshi stood, looking around the circle of laughter and joy, watching Akela stand tall, her spirit unyielding. Together, they had spun a web of traditions, a tapestry that held the memories of their ancestors while allowing for new stories to emerge. In that moment, he realized that healing was a journey, one derived from sharing, living, and laughing together. It was a path forged with hope, love, and a fierce determination to remember the past while crafting a brighter future. As the fire crackled and the stars shimmered above, Kiyoshi knew in his heart that they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they were no longer just survivors. They were family, and family would always find a way to endure. As the winter approached, the Apache village remained vigilant, the spirit of community stronger than ever. The bonds forged during the great hunt had turned into a profound alliance, and with it came new challenges. Each day brought whispered rumors of settlers encroaching on their lands, forcing Kiyoshi to maintain an unyielding focus on the safety of his people. One chilly morning, as frost glimmered upon the grass, Kiyoshi gathered the warriors to discuss the unsettling reports. The council meeting took on a solemn tone as Kiyoshi addressed his kin, his voice resonating with authority. "We are entering a season where our strengths must unite against the tide of outside threats. Word has reached me that settlers intend to claim our hunting grounds." Murmurs filled the space, a mixture of fear and anger rippling through the assembly. Tall Bear leaned forward, determination etched across his young face. "We cannot allow them to walk all over us. We must stand our ground and protect our home." His fiery spirit inspired others, but Kiyoshi knew that swift action could lead to conflict. "We must be wise," he replied, holding a hand up to calm the rising emotions. "Charging into battle without thinking will only lead to more bloodshed. We need a plan, one that balances strength with diplomacy." Kiyoshi glanced at Akela, who had been listening intently from her place among the elders. He sought her insight, aware of her growing role within the tribe. "Father," she began, her voice steady, "perhaps we could send a delegation to the settlers, show them that we are here to negotiate our rights to the land. Terms can be put forth that recognize our history and the presence we maintain here. Her suggestion hung in the air, a mix of hope and apprehension. Kiyoshi nodded, recognizing the wisdom in her words. If we show them that we come in peace, it might pave the way for a better understanding. Kiyoshi looked around at the faces of his warriors, gauging their reactions. But we also prepare for the worst. If they choose to reject our overtures, then we shall stand united as one. The council agreed and plans were set in motion. That evening, Akela volunteered to accompany Kiyoshi as part of the delegation, her heart beating with both excitement and apprehension. They spent hours preparing for the meeting, crafting a message that encapsulated their demands: the right to hunt, to gather, and to exist without fear of intimidation. As dawn broke over the horizon, an unearthly beauty lit up the landscape. Kiyoshi and Akela set off toward the settlers' encampment, the ground beneath them firm and resolute. Each step took them deeper into uncertain territory, where whispers of doom mingled with flickers of hope in the soft morning light. Upon arrival, they found themselves confronted by the settlers, rough men and women hardened by struggle, their eyes filled with suspicion. Kiyoshi squared his shoulders and stepped forward, speaking with the authority of a leader. "We come in peace. We wish to discuss our rights to these lands so our tribes can coexist." A burly man stepped forth, his face scarred from past conflicts. "You think we'll just give you land? We've fought hard for this place." His voice carried the sharpness of disdain, and murmurs of agreement rippled among the settlers. Kiyoshi felt tension rise, the atmosphere thick as fog. "We do not seek to take, but to share. This land is sacred to us, just as it is to you. We wish to negotiate terms that honor both our peoples." Akela stepped in, her voice ringing clear and confident. "Our survival is tied to this land, as is yours. Generations have walked these paths. We can come up with a solution that recognizes both of our histories. Let us not repeat the mistakes of the past." The settlers exchanged wary glances, unsure of how to respond. The burly man sneered, but seemed momentarily taken aback by Akela's sincerity. "What's in it for us?" he shot back, his voice laced with skepticism. "Security," Kiyoshi answered, his tone unwavering. "A united front against any who would threaten your homesteads as well. Imagine what we could achieve together. A shared market, trade, and mutual protection. Each side can benefit from the other." Slowly, the settlers began to nod, the seeds of understanding taking root. Just then, a young settler woman, who had been listening quietly from the back, stepped forward. "What if we allow you the right to hunt a designated area while we use the rest? We can make this work, can't we?" Her eyes shone with hope, contrasting sharply with the hardened faces around her. Kiyoshi felt a wave of gratitude for her bravery. "Yes, that is a start. Let us draw a map, detailing the borders so everyone understands their place. We can lay the groundwork for a future that respects both our peoples." The meeting continued, slowly morphing from hostility into tentative agreement. Kiyoshi and Akela worked alongside the settlers, mapping out territories and laying out clear rules for how their two communities would coexist. It took hours, but by the end of the day, a fragile accord began to take shape, the shadows of their past starting to lift. As they left the settlers' camp, Akela felt a sense of triumph. "We did it, Father. There's still much work to be done, but we took a step in the right direction." Kiyoshi nodded, his heart swelling with pride. "Yes, but this is only the beginning. We must keep our guard up and ensure that our people hold true to this agreement. Trust must be rebuilt, and it will take time." Back in the Apache village, the news of their successful negotiations spread like wildfire, igniting laughter and celebrations. This newfound alliance with the settlers brought hope for a brighter future, but it also served as a reminder that vulnerability came with new responsibilities. Akela watched as Kiyoshi spoke to the tribe, relaying the terms they had secured. She felt herself become a bridge between two worlds, a role that both thrilled and terrified her. In the weeks that followed, celebrations blended with continued discussions among the warriors. They sought to share knowledge and reinforce their strengths, preparing for the possibility that old habits could die hard. The alliance blossomed, allowing trades to flourish between the two groups, but danger still lurked on the horizon. Rumors persisted of bandits and renegades who sought to destabilize the fragile peace. Kiyoshi understood the importance of remaining vigilant, of safeguarding everything they had fought for. One evening, as the stars glittered above the village, Kiyoshi gathered the warriors for yet another council meeting. The mood was tenser this time, the weight of uncertainty pressing down on them. Our alliance is strong, but we must remain on guard. We've heard reports of bandits planning to attack. If we're to protect our home, we must strengthen our defenses. Just then, a scout rushed into the circle, breathless and alarmed. The bandits are coming. They aim to raid our livestock and disrupt the peace we've fought to build. Kiyoshi's heart raced. Gather the warriors, prepare the defenses. We will protect our people and our new alliances. We will not allow fear to dictate our future. Swiftly, the villagers sprang into action, warriors rallying with renewed vigor. The echoes of drums reverberated through the village, signaling call to arms. Akela moved through the flurry of activity, guiding the women and children to safety. As darkness fell, Kiyoshi stood at the edge of the village, ready to confront the threat. The bandits, lured by a history of pillaging and destruction, would soon learn that the Apache and their allies would not be so easily intimidated. The moons hung high above, witnesses to the courage and valor that would unfold as both tribes united against a common enemy. In the heart of battle, they would not fight as separate entities, but as one tribe, solidified by shared experiences and forged in the fires of cooperation. As Kiyoshi watched the horizon, he knew deep down that no threat would sever the bonds they had formed, nor extinguish the flames of resilience that burned within them all. As dawn broke, the first light of day revealed a landscape still cloaked in the remnants of night, but the tension in the air was palpable. Kiyoshi stood resolute at the village's edge, surveying the horizon for any signs of the bandits. The warriors were assembling behind him, their faces a mixture of determination and apprehension. He felt their collective energy, a pulse of resolve that coursed through the assembled group. Today, we fight not just for our land, but for our families, our traditions, and our future. Together we will defend what we have built. Let any who would threaten us know that they face not just the Apache, but also our allies. We are strong. The roar of agreement from the warriors echoed back, a unified voice that rose to meet the challenge before them. As the sun ascended, illuminating their fierce faces, Kiyoshi felt the spirit of not just his warriors, but of every ancestor who had walked this land. The air crackled with anticipation. They were ready. Suddenly, a cry went up from a distant lookout. "They come!" The warriors took their positions, forming a solid line at the village's perimeter. Kiyoshi could see the dust clouds rising in the distance, a telltale sign of those intent on causing destruction. The bandits were approaching, their silhouettes stark against the early morning light. "Form ranks," Kiyoshi commanded, his voice cutting through the rising wind. The warriors moved with precision, falling into formation. As they readied their weapons, Akela joined him, her face a mask of determination. "Father, I want to fight beside you," she declared, gripping her bow tightly. Kiyoshi hesitated for a moment, the protective instinct within him clashing with the pride he felt in her courage. "This is dangerous, Akela. You have a role to play in protecting our people. Lead the women and children to safety. Your wisdom is needed there." "Those bandits do not care who they attack," she argued, her voice steady, though her eyes sparkled with urgency. "I am not a child. I can help defend us, just as you do." Kiyoshi understood her spirit, but he also feared losing her to the tumult of battle. "If you stay back, we can fight more effectively, and you can oversee our safety from the village as our people gather." With a lingering glance, Akela nodded reluctantly. As she joined the women and children, a wave of resolve washed over Kiyoshi. He turned back toward the approaching bandits, the horizon growing darker as they drew closer. The tension in the village peaked, and Kiyoshi raised his arm. "Hold your fire until they are within range. We wait for my command." As the bandits charged, the roar of their shouts rang out, mingling with the thundering of their horses' hooves. The warriors remained calm, concentration etched on their faces. They watched as the bandits closed the distance, intent on disrupting the peace they had fought so hard to establish. With a commanding shout, Kiyoshi bellowed, "Now!" Arrows flew into the air, raining down upon the bandits with deadly precision. The warriors roared as they surged forward, fighting with the ferocity of wolves defending their pack. The battle was chaos embodied. Arrows whistled, swords clashed, and the air vibrated with the cries of warriors. Kiyoshi fought fiercely, his movements fluid and purposeful. He deftly maneuvered among the trees, using his surroundings to his advantage, taking down any bandit who dared to approach. Around him, the struggle intensified. Tall Bear fought with unyielding bravery, holding his ground against multiple attackers. Kiyoshi glanced over, where Aquila kept watch from a small hillock, her bow steady as she aimed for the oncoming melee. He felt a swell of pride. His daughter was no longer just a child, but a warrior in her own right. In the midst of the fighting, a bandit managed to break through the line, charging toward Kiyoshi. With a fierce battle cry, Kiyoshi swung his sword, catching the attacker off guard. The clash echoed in the air as their weapons met. When the bandit fell, Kiyoshi felt a momentary victory before returning his gaze to the fray, aware that more lay ahead. Suddenly he spotted a group of bandits attempting to flank the village from the left. "To the left! They're trying to breach our defenses," Kiyoshi shouted, rallying warriors to divert their attention. "Push them back!" As they rallied, Kiyoshi's heart raced. The fighters pushed forward, the scent of sweat, blood, and determination mingling in the air. For every slain bandit, another took their place, the relentless tide threatening to overwhelm them. But Kiyoshi stood firm, encouraging his warriors to push harder, to stay united. In the chaos, Kiyoshi glimpsed Aquila, her presence radiating confidence as she picked off bandits with precision. The sight filled him with both pride and dread. He focused intently, shouting out commands determined to keep the tide of battle moving in their favor. Minutes turned into what felt like hours, and the intensity of the fight wore heavy upon all. Just as it seemed they might be pushed back, Kiyoshi felt the presence of his allies. The settlers had joined the fray, coming to support their newfound partners. The tide shifted as the settlers charged in, bolstered by newfound courage. They surged forward, and Kiyoshi saw the energetic abandon in the eyes of the young settler woman from their negotiations. She held a bow much like Aquila's, a grim determination etched on her face as she fought alongside them. Together, the united forces of Apache and settlers began to repel the bandits. Their cries became desperate as they found themselves surrounded, the weight of unity pushing them back. Kiyoshi led the charge forward, adrenaline coursing through him until they reached what remained of the bandit group. "Now push them out of our land," he commanded, a fierce light in his eyes. The cry of his troops was a blend of triumph and fury as they surged forward, no longer simply defending, but reclaiming their home. The bandits began to retreat, their ranks collapsing under the force of this united front. With every step backward, the Apache and settlers pushed them further until they disappeared into the forest, leaving their remnants behind. In the aftermath, silence descended over the battlefield. Warriors stood panting, surveying the area littered with signs of the conflict. Exhausted but proud, they began to gather, exchanging relieved glances. Kiyoshi turned to see Aquila rushing toward him, her face flushed with exhilaration. "Father, we did it!" she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with triumph. "Yes, we did. Together," Kiyoshi said, a sense of pride swelling within him. As he embraced her, he understood that this battle had forged not just a defense of their home, but a lasting bond between two peoples. As the sun dipped low in the sky, they gathered to honor the fallen, both friends and foes. Together, Kiyoshi and Aquila led their people in a prayer, a gesture of respect for lives lost, and a commitment to a future built on cooperation rather than conflict. With the spirits of their ancestors witnessing their resolve, the Apache village stood not just as survivors of a battle, but as pioneers of a new era, a testament to the power of unity and the mission to create a lasting peace. The journey continued, and while challenges lay ahead, they would face them side by side, resolute and unyielding. In the aftermath of the battle, the Apache village breathed a collective sigh of relief. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the land, and a sense of unity permeated the air. The warriors began to regroup, tending to the wounded and honoring those who had fallen. Kiyoshi moved through the camp, gratitude swelling in his chest, not only for the bravery of his people, but also for the unexpected coalition with the settlers. "Father, look!" Aquila called out, her voice filled with excitement. She pointed toward the edge of the village, where a gathering of villagers had assembled, their expressions a mix of relief and disbelief. As Kiyoshi approached, he saw that the settlers had joined them in celebration, their faces bright with joy for their shared victory. "Today we proved that together we are stronger," one of the settlers declared, stepping forward. His hands were raised high, and his voice rang out warmly. "Let us honor our agreement, for it has already borne fruit. We will stand together for our families and our future." Kiyoshi exchanged glances with Akela, the weight of shared understanding passing between them. This was not merely a victory against bandits. It was a step toward a future they once thought impossible, a blending of two worlds destined to clash, now uniting for a common cause. As darkness began to enfold the village, a fire was lit in the center of the gathering. Flames danced, illuminating faces filled with joy. The night air vibrated with songs and laughter, as both Apache and settlers celebrated their unity. Kiyoshi could hardly believe how far they had come, how they had transformed conflict into camaraderie. "Let us share our traditions," a young settler woman proposed, stepping forward with a drum. "We can teach each other our songs and dances, for music knows no boundaries." The proposal ignited excitement, as villagers eagerly shared their respective cultures through vibrant tales and songs. Akela took her place beside Kiyoshi and led the crowd in an Apache dance, her movements graceful and fluid, a world away from the chaos of battle just hours before. Kiyoshi joined in, feeling the bond of spirit and resilience surge within him. The rhythm of drums filled the air, laughter bounced off the walls of the village, and under the gathering stars, two peoples danced together, weaving a new story of coexistence. Around the fire, Kiyoshi spotted Tallbear, his young warrior who had fought valiantly during the fray. "Kiyoshi," he called, breaking away from a group of settlers. "Today, I felt a strength I have never known. I fought not just for my family, but for a future that includes all of us." Kiyoshi smiled, a sense of pride filling him once more. "You fought bravely, Tallbear. Your spirit inspires others. Today we learned that our strength multiplies when we come together." Hours passed and the night wore on. Underneath the vast expanse of twinkling stars, tales of old and stories of new flourished. As the embers crackled and sputtered, Kiyoshi felt a weight lift within him. With each laugh, every shared moment, he understood that they were weaving bonds that would withstand future conflicts. As the festivities began to slow, Akela nudged Kiyoshi's arm. "What will we do now, father? The bandits could return, and we must remain vigilant." Kiyoshi pondered her words, knowing that the road ahead would require constant attention. "You are right, Akela. While we celebrate our unity, we must also solidify our defenses. We cannot allow ourselves to become complacent." Gathering the elders and warriors, he began to formulate a plan to enhance their defenses and bolster their alliance with the settlers. They would establish a system of watchmen, rotating day and night, and hold regular meetings with the settlers to ensure everyone remained informed. Surveillance would be their new weapon against uncertainty, echoing the lessons learned in battle that day. "We will build a strong line of communication," Kiyoshi announced to the gathering. "We are no longer two separate entities, but one community with a shared destiny. As we tighten our defenses, let us not forget the spirit of cooperation that brought us here. We must continue to work together to maintain peace." The warriors nodded in agreement, their resolve renewed by the shared experiences of the day. They began to work tirelessly through the night, strategizing and learning from one another. The bond they had forged would be their shield against any who sought to disrupt their newfound harmony. As dawn approached, Kiyoshi, exhausted but exhilarated, stood at the edge of the camp gazing out over the landscape. The horizon bore the colors of a new day, a symbol of hope and possibility. At his side stood Akela, her spirit unwavering. "I believe we can do this, father," she said, a fierce glint in her eye. "United, we can face anything." Kiyoshi met her gaze, pride swelling in his chest. "Together, we will carve out our future. Together, we will honor the ties that bind us." As the sun rose, casting light upon the village and the fields beyond, the Apache and settlers began their dayside activities, their newfound alliance becoming a powerful force for good in the valley. They planted, fished, and shared meals, their laughter ringing together as they moved in time like the rhythmic pulse of the earth itself. Under this unbroken sun, with spirits intertwined and futures bright, they took their first steps toward a long, harmonious journey, one that would not only protect their way of life, but also enrich them in ways they had never thought possible. They had transformed adversity into unity, and with it the hope of generations to come. Each heart beat as one, now and forever intertwined in the great tapestry of history they were destined to write together. Days turned into weeks, and the village thrived under the collaborative spirit of the Apache and settlers. Work transformed into a joyous ceremony where two cultures exchanged skills and traditions. The sounds of laughter mingled with the rhythmic beat of drums, echoing through the valley, signaling a new era of unity. Kiyoshi observed the vibrant activity with a heart full of hope. Children played, weaving between the adults, their innocence creating bonds that transcended history. Akela took charge of teaching the younger generation. Their shared stories blossomed into friendships, and every lesson learned brought them closer together. One afternoon, as Kiyoshi walked through the bustling marketplace, he marveled at the sight before him. Traders from both the Apache and settler communities bartered goods, vibrant colors of woven textiles, mingling with the earthy tones of pottery and tools. It was a living testament to the collaboration blossoming between the two peoples. "Father!" Akela called, waving him over from a gathering near the center of the marketplace. Excitement lit up her features as she stood with a group of children. "Look what we've made!" In her hands, she held a beautifully crafted necklace made of beads and shells, an amalgamation of styles from both cultures. "We worked together while weaving the tales of our families," she said, pride evident in her voice. "It's a symbol of our friendship. We want to give it to the settlers as a gesture of unity." Kiyoshi felt warmth flood his heart, a swell of emotion for the future they were building together. "That is a wonderful idea, Akela," he said, leaning closer to admire her handiwork. "Let us present it to them at the coming feast. It will be a celebration of our unity, a time to reflect on how far we've come." Preparations began in earnest for the feast. Both communities pulled together, creating dishes from their respective cultures, filling tables with food that danced with color and flavor. The aroma of roasted meats and fresh bread filled the air, a delectable promise of the evening to come. As twilight descended, lanterns were lit, casting a warm glow over the gathering. Kiyoshi felt a tingle of excitement. As he stood before the assembled crowd of Apache and settlers, he raised his voice to capture their attention. "Tonight, we gather not just to eat or revel in celebration, but to honor the bond we have created. In this shared space, we have woven a tapestry of resilience, strength, and friendship." Applause erupted from the crowd, filling the air like a sweet melody. Kiyoshi gestured to Akela, who stepped forward with the children trailing behind her, their hands clutching the necklace she had crafted. "We have made a symbol of our friendship, a necklace infused with the stories of our people. We hope it reminds us all of what unites us, transcending the struggles of the past." As she held the necklace high, its colors shimmering in the lantern light, the settlers exchanged curious glances. One of the women from their side stepped forward, her face glowing with warmth. "It is beautiful, a fitting tribute to our shared future. We accept it with open hearts." As the necklace was presented, children and adults alike rushed forward to admire it. Laughter filled the air, a chorus of shared joy that echoed across the valley. The feast began, a magnificent spread of traditional foods, storytelling, and laughter. The Apache shared tales of their ancestors, while settlers spoke of their own journeys to the frontier. As stories intermingled, they began to understand one another more deeply, the struggles, the victories, the dreams of a future free of conflict. Later in the evening, as the stars twinkled overhead, music resonated through the air. With drums beating a lively rhythm, Akela invited everyone to join in a dance. The circle widened, hands clasped together, and the joyous movement drew them all closer. They moved in rhythm, a beautiful blend of Apache and settler steps, the dance adorned with laughter and shouts of happiness. Kiyoshi stood at the edge of the circle, watching the mingling of cultures with a heart brimming with pride. He marveled at how far they had come from the days of conflict and mistrust. The laughter of children echoed through the open air, a reminder that they were building a lasting legacy of peace. However, beneath the resplendent surface, Kiyoshi felt a thread of concern tugging at his thoughts. Though this could be a new era, threats lingered. Bandits and rogue elements could disrupt the harmony they had just forged. He resolved to maintain the vigilance needed to protect their newfound bond. As the night wore on, the atmosphere pulsated with life and joy. After the dance, Kiyoshi gathered everyone around the central fire. The flickering flames provided a backdrop for him to share a vision he held close to his heart. Tonight, we have woven a new path together. But let us not forget that our journey requires ongoing commitment. We must be ever watchful and ready to protect what we have built. He looked into the eyes of the settlers. As we rise together, let it be known that we will stand against any who threaten our peace. We are bound not only by proximity, but by our shared resolve. The settlers nodded in agreement, and Kiyoshi observed the depth of understanding in their faces. The firelight danced against the resolve etched in their eyes, kindling a renewed unity. They shared a collective strength, embracing the power of their commitment to forge a path forward together. As the evening drew to a close, Kiyoshi and Akela shared a moment away from the festivities, standing on a hill overlooking their village. The horizon glimmered with the last rays of sunlight, a stunning reminder of the new dawn they had forged. "Father," Akela began, her gaze fixed on the settlement below, "do you think the peace we've created will last? What if the bandits return?" Kiyoshi placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Peace is fragile, my dear, but it is built on trust and unity. We must continue to invest in our relationships, to learn and grow together. As long as we stand side by side, we can face any threat. Together, we will rise." Akela nodded, a fierce determination shining in her eyes. She understood the weight of leadership, and as her father's words resonated within her, she felt the strength of their bond, a bond forged in struggle, love, and the hope of a brighter future. In that moment, they stood not just as father and daughter, but as symbols of a new beginning, ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead, united and unwavering in their resolve to protect the peace they had fought so hard to achieve. Together, they prepared to face dawn's light, ready to confront the world and all its possibilities. As the sun began to rise, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold, Kiyoshi and Akela awakened to a new day with renewed purpose. The village was alive with activity, a harmony of voices, laughter, and the sounds of morning rituals. Today marked the beginning of a new chapter for both Apache and settlers, and Kiyoshi felt the weight of that promise. Gathering the village for a morning assembly, Kiyoshi sensed a mixture of excitement and apprehension in the air. He stood before the assembled crowd, the flicker of lanterns giving way to the soft light of dawn. "Today, we will strengthen our foundations for the future. We will focus on building a home that embodies our unity, a place enriched by both our cultures." The crowd murmured their approval, and Kiyoshi continued, "To honor our alliance and promote mutual understanding, I propose we start educational exchanges, teaching each other our languages and traditions. Knowledge is power, and through it, we will cultivate respect and deeper bonds." Akela stepped forward, her heart racing with enthusiasm. "I can lead lessons for both our children and yours. We can gather at sunset to share stories, songs, and skills that showcase the beauty of our heritages." Her excitement was infectious, igniting a spark among the villagers. The crowd cheered, and soon, plans were made to hold evening gatherings meant to share wisdom among both communities. As Kiyoshi looked across the faces of happy villagers, he felt the dawn of a gradual transformation, a merging of their traditions and identities. As the day unfolded, the community set to work, planting new crops that would blend the culinary preferences of both cultures. The Apache raised corn and beans, while settlers leaned toward wheat and vegetables. In the midst of their labor, friendships blossomed. Men and women worked side by side, sharing seeds, stories, and old family recipes, with laughter ringing through the fields. One afternoon, while tending to the crops, Akela noticed a group of children struggling to lift a heavy basket of vegetables. She rushed over to help. "Here, let's do this together," she said, smiling brightly at the children as they rallied around her. With a shared effort, they managed to lift the basket, and soon they were racing to the village, laughing all the way. Seeing the joy on their faces ignited a warmth in Akela's heart. She realized just how profoundly unity could transform lives. As weeks passed, the evening gatherings became a cherished tradition, drawing more members from both communities. Vendors set up stalls, and the air became thick with the aroma of shared foods. Laughter echoed as stories intertwined, connecting past and present. One evening, Kiyoshi noticed how Akela was becoming a bridge between the two cultures. She facilitated games that involved both Apache dances and settler traditions. Elders from both sides sat together, sharing tales that resonated with their own experiences. Kiyoshi watched with pride as she encouraged the children to embrace both identities, fostering a spirit of camaraderie. However, as they reveled in their newfound peace, whispers of discontent began to surface. Word reached them that a faction of settlers viewed their alliance with distrust, unwilling to see the benefits of unity. Kiyoshi felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. Would their hard-fought peace withstand the challenges before them? One evening, as the sun dipped down behind the mountains, Kiyoshi gathered the leading warriors and elders to discuss the threats looming over their alliance. "We must address these concerns openly," he began, his voice steady. "Our unity is a beacon against the darkness, but we must also understand that not everyone will trust it. We need a plan to ensure our people feel safe." Tall Bear spoke up, his youthful determination shining through. "What if we invite these skeptics to join our gatherings? Let them see for themselves the bond we've built. Show them the strength in our unity." Kiyoshi nodded, appreciating the wisdom in the young warrior's words. "We will send out invitations, extended arms instead of closed fists. A show of camaraderie will demonstrate that our peace is not only real, but necessary for our mutual survival." Days later, as they prepared for the next gathering, Kiyoshi felt a sense of hope mixed with trepidation. Would the skeptics accept the invitation, or would the walls of distrust threaten the bonds they had forged with so much effort? When the evening finally arrived, villagers gathered in anticipation. Kiyoshi stood at the entrance, welcoming both Apache and settlers alike, trying to hide his anxiety as he waited for those who had been hesitant to respond. As the sun dipped low, casting golden rays over the horizon, figures began to emerge from the shadows. A small group of skeptical settlers approached, their demeanor cautious but curious. They looked around at the vibrant environment that had been built through cooperation and shared experiences. Kiyoshi stepped forward, his voice filled with warmth. "Welcome. We are grateful you are here to witness the bond that has formed among our people. We believe in the future we are creating, and tonight we hope to share it with you." The settlers exchanged wary glances but nodded in agreement, understanding that they had been welcomed into a new narrative, a story rooted in collaboration. As the festivities began, laughter and music filled the air. Kiyoshi engaged the newcomers, sharing tales of bravery and triumph, while Akela prepared a presentation of the craft items that showcased the collaboration between the two cultures. The children exchanged playful interactions, weaving between the adults, effortlessly bringing warmth to the surrounding atmosphere. As the night wore on, Kiyoshi watched as barriers began to break down. The skeptical settlers began to share their own stories, their voices finding trust in the space they occupied. It was difficult for them at first, but they slowly began to see the benefits of unity, the strength in diversity and community. The evening culminated in a ceremonial dance led by Akela. As Apache and settlers moved together, Kiyoshi felt a deep sense of accomplishment wash over him. They were weaving a bright future, one filled with respect for both their histories and the promise of a harmonious coexistence. He understood that the actions taken that night would define their path forward. With every step, every shared smile, they were building something stronger than fear. They were crafting a legacy that would allow future generations to thrive. As the stars sparkled in the night sky, Kiyoshi felt the warmth of hope settle in his heart. Together, they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, united by strength, tradition, and compassion, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the art of survival. Weeks turned into months, and the bond between the Apache and settlers flourished, a living testament to the power of unity. With each gathering, they deepened their connections, sharing stories, lessons, and laughter, creating a rich tapestry of cultural exchange that transformed their valley into a vibrant community. Yet as the seasons shifted, so did the winds of change, and Kiyoshi felt the weight of new responsibilities pressing upon him. One crisp morning, Kiyoshi gathered the council to discuss preparations for the upcoming annual harvest festival, a time of celebration that would draw all the local tribes and settlers together. This year, we will not only celebrate our harvest, but also the spirit of the friendships we have forged, he announced, eliciting nods of approval from the gathered leaders. We will showcase our combined efforts and reaffirm our commitment to unity. Aquila, now a central figure in the planning, jumped in with enthusiasm. Let's incorporate a marketplace where we can trade goods and showcase each of our unique crafts. She envisioned a space that would highlight the art and abilities of both communities, allowing everyone to share their culture. The council agreed and plans blossomed quickly. Days turned into weeks as children and families worked side by side to prepare for the festival. Each evening, villagers gathered to weave garlands of wildflowers, bake bread, and create colorful decorations. As the festival approached, Kiyoshi noticed a growing energy in the community. He wandered through the village to witness the excitement firsthand. Children practiced dances, and vendors set up colorful stalls filled with handmade crafts. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. However, a quiet apprehension nagged at Kiyoshi. One evening, as he watched the preparations unfold, a familiar figure emerged on the horizon. Running Wolf, the leader of the neighboring Lakota tribe, approached. The air turned heavy with expectation as Kiyoshi stepped forward to greet him. "Running Wolf, it is good to see you," Kiyoshi said, extending a hand in friendship. "Kiyoshi," Running Wolf replied, a shadow flickering across his face. "I have come with news that troubles me. There are rumors of bandits gathering, growing bolder, targeting both our tribes." Kiyoshi's stomach tightened. "We have faced ambush before, but we will stand united against them." "I believe we must be vigilant at the festival," Running Wolf urged. "With so many gathered from different regions, it creates an opportunity for troublemakers. We should increase our defenses." "I share your concerns," Kiyoshi acknowledged, "but this festival is about unity. We cannot let fear dictate our lives. We will remain alert but also focus on celebrating what we have built." Tempering his apprehension with resolve, Kiyoshi continued preparing for the festival. As the day arrived, the village transformed into a vibrant celebration. The air carried the scent of roasted meats and melting sweets, and the tantalizing sounds of laughter and music rang out for miles. Under the broad expanse of the sky, Kiyoshi stood with Aquila at the heart of the gathering. Colorful banners fluttered around them, while preparations for the musical performances commenced. Warriors stood watchful, but joined in the festivities when they could, their vigilance allowing space for joy. When dusk settled, the festival came alive with dances. Apache songs melded with settlers' melodies, creating an extraordinary symphony that echoed across the valley. Aquila, adorned in a beautiful dress woven from vibrant threads, led both children and adults in a circle dance that united everyone into a single heartbeat. However, as the laughter filled the air, Kiyoshi caught a glimpse of movement from the edge of the festivities. He focused intently, spotting a group of strangers in the distance, their figures tense and watchful. A chill ran down his spine as he turned to Running Wolf. "Have you seen those figures?" Kiyoshi asked, pointing discreetly. Running Wolf nodded, his expression darkening. "Yes, we must keep our eyes open. There may be trouble ahead." As the celebration continued, Kiyoshi approached the surrounding warriors, and along with Running Wolf, he conveyed the need for heightened vigilance. They split their forces, ensuring that both the revelry and their defenses remained intact. The joyful spirit remained unbroken as families danced and celebrated, unaware of the gathering threat. Kiyoshi felt the weight of his choices. The fine balance between celebration and caution tapped at his thoughts. He joined the festivities, but his senses remained alert, scanning the horizon for signs of danger. As the night reached its peak, the festivities changed into a magnificent dance performance that showcased both cultures. Couples swirled around the fire, weaving together movements that told stories of both Apache and settler legends. The crowd spirit soared, wrapped in the joy of celebration. Suddenly, a tense hush fell over the crowd as a shout erupted from the edge of the festivities, a warning. "Bandits! They're coming!" The music stopped, and gasps filled the night air. Instinctively, Kiyoshi stepped forward, rallying his warriors. "Stay calm, everyone, find shelter," he commanded, watching as both settlers and Apache fled for safety. He turned to Running Wolf, determination setting their course. "We will face them together." As chaos reigned, figures emerged from the darkness, their faces hidden beneath hoods, brandishing weapons. Kiyoshi felt a surge of adrenaline and fear as he sprinted toward the advancing bandits, ready to defend his people. "Stand firm!" he shouted, raising his spear in defiance. Warriors took their positions alongside him, steel glinting in the dim light as they prepared to confront the impending threat. The bandits charged, a fierce determination blazing in their eyes. The air charged with the energy of impending conflict, fear and courage clashed amidst the flickering dusk. In the heart of the fray, Kiyoshi fought alongside his allies, every swing of his weapon fueled by the desire to protect those he loved. The sounds of battle echoed, the clash of steel met by the deep shouts of men and the urgent cries of women moving to safety. Aquila's voice rang out, firm and commanding. "Hold the line!" She fought beside Kiyoshi, her strength illuminating the dark. As they engaged, Kiyoshi felt the weight of their alliance, a truth surrounding him, binding their spirits in shared purpose, fierce and unyielding. They were no longer just Apache and settlers, but a united front determined to defend their home. In the midst of the chaos, Kiyoshi caught a glimpse of Running Wolf, battling valiantly against a bandit who had slipped past the defenses. With the flick of his wrist, Kiyoshi dispatched an enemy, charging to assist his ally. The tension escalated, each moment a fight for survival as they held their ground. Kiyoshi's heart raced with urgency, a battle for not just their lives, but for the future they had begun to forge. Amidst the struggle, he felt the resolve strengthen among the warriors around him, the bonds of brotherhood coalescing under the weight of adversity. The night became a blur of motion and sound, until finally the bandits began to falter, their numbers dwindling. Kiyoshi sensed a shift, a collective determination rising among the fighters. "Push them back," he hollered, urgency igniting their spirits. United, the Apache and settlers surged forward, spelling the end of their attackers. With a final cry of defiance, the remaining bandits fled into the shadows, leaving chaos and destruction in their wake. Kiyoshi and Running Wolf stood tall among their warriors, breathing heavily yet victorious. As the dust settled, the survivors emerged, embracing one another. Their hearts raced with adrenaline, yet glimmers of hope illuminated their eyes. They had faced the darkness together and triumphed. They were all part of this victory. "We have much to rebuild," Kiyoshi said, surveying the aftermath, "but we have proven that united, we are strong. This festival will be remembered not only for its joy, but for our resilience." The remaining villagers nodded, the memories of their friendships intertwining with the reality of their survival. The night may have brought instability, but it also reaffirmed their commitment to one another, allowing bonds to strengthen under pressure. With the sunrise peeking over the horizon, Kiyoshi knew this was just another chapter in their journey, a shared story that would become one of hope, unity, and a fierce determination to sustain what they had begun to build. They had faced the darkness together, and together they would rise, illuminating the path for future generations to follow. In the days following the battle, the Apache and settlers began the laborious task of rebuilding, the remnants of their festival left behind, alongside the echoes of their shared struggles. The experience had cemented their unity, revealing the strength that emerged from adversity. Kiyoshi took it upon himself to organize the community's efforts. He gathered the warriors and elders, laying bare the scars of the conflict that had shaken them. "Today, we rebuild not just our homes, but our spirit. We must pay homage to those who stood with us. We honor the lives lost. We build for their memories." Aquila moved through the crowd, her heart swelling with pride for her father's leadership. The townsfolk rallied around their shared mission, eager to restore what had been threatened. They cleared debris, mended fences, and rebuilt the fragile structures that had been part of their celebration. With every nail hammered and every stone set, the villagers shared stories that fostered camaraderie. Children joined in the work, learning the value of cooperation and resilience. Their laughter rang through the air, weaving itself into the fabric of their community, much like the traditions that held them together. As the days turned into weeks, whispers of the festival's confrontation with bandits spread far beyond the valley. Other tribes started to take notice of the united front that Kiyoshi, Aquila, and the settlers had forged. Visitors began arriving, curious about this newfound alliance, eager to learn from their experiences. One afternoon, a council of tribal leaders arrived, representatives from the plains, mountains, and forests. They gathered under the great old oak tree that had witnessed generations of kinship. Kiyoshi stepped forward, flanked by Akela and Running Wolf. "Our community has bridged a gap that once separated us. We invite you to share in our journey, to forge new alliances that prioritize security and understanding." A murmur of agreement rippled through the assembly, gratitude replacing skepticism. The other tribal leaders shared their own stories of hardship and survival, acknowledging the resilience displayed in the valley. Kiyoshi felt the warmth of connection grow, and he knew that they were setting a precedent, a transformation that encompassed more than just their land. As days turned into months, an annual gathering began to take shape. It became known as the Unity Festival, an event where tribes would come together, not just to celebrate, but to strengthen ties and reinforce connections. The planning process allowed the settlers and Apache to showcase their crafts, foods, and cultures, while each year they invited neighboring tribes to participate. The first Unity Festival was a magnificent success, a colorful celebration that drew people from near and far. The air buzzed with excitement as groups set up stalls featuring traditional art, fragrant foods, and intricate clothing. Music and laughter intertwined, creating an atmosphere thick with joy and camaraderie. Kiyoshi and Akela moved through the vibrant scene, sharing proud glances at the diversity flourishing around them. Laughter rang through the air as children dashed between stalls, showcasing the beauty of their hybrid culture. Each smiling face reflected a story of survival, a reminder of the battles fought and the strength found in unity. As evening settled in, the glow of lanterns illuminated the gathering. Kiyoshi stood before the assembled crowd, his heart swelled with pride. "Tonight we celebrate not just our harvest, but each other, the friendships that have been cultivated here. We honor those who came before us, and we pledge to nurture the bonds we share." Cheers erupted from the crowd as Kiyoshi continued, "Let us remember the strength that comes from unity. Together, our voices can create a song that resonates beyond these mountains, echoing through time." The performances began, with dancers weaving through the crowd, showcasing the rich heritage that stemmed from both Apache and settler traditions. Kiyoshi watched with admiration as Akela took center stage, leading a dance that intertwined their histories. The strength of their collective identity flowed through her movements, a celebration of resilience. As the night unfolded, stories were shared around the fire, tales of dreams and aspirations blossoming amid shared struggles. Kiyoshi listened intently as elders recounted the history of their ancestors, reminding the villagers of their roots. "Let us never forget," Kiyoshi said, standing beside Akela, "that we are the architects of our future. Our lives are intertwined, and together we will ensure that the legacy we leave behind is one of hope, courage, and understanding." As the final flickers of the celebration retreated into the night, the embers of the fire shone brightly, a reflection of their spirits. Kiyoshi felt a sense of completeness, a fulfillment that came from witnessing the bonds they had forged together throughout their trials. In the distance, Akela watched the flickering lights and felt the warmth of community enveloping her. She turned to her father, a smile curving her lips. "We did it, Father. We've created something beautiful from the ashes of the past." Kiyoshi nodded, a satisfied smile on his face. "Together we faced every challenge, and together we will continue to thrive. Our journey has just begun, and I know our future is filled with promise." As the stars twinkled above, Kiyoshi felt a renewed energy within him. They had not only survived, they had risen, hand in hand, Apache and settler, strong and united. The spirit of the valley flourished, and they were ready to embrace whatever came next, armed with hope and solidarity, forever bound by the stories written into their hearts.